Let's say this red ball represents our shooter. Let's say the cue ball here represents the bullet from his gun. The myth is that our shooter can fire a bullet and can bounce off 1, 2, 3 surfaces and come back and kill the shooter.
Well, that'd ruin your day.
I know. Let's test it.
Okay.
The myth takes place in a half-built skyscraper. It's a pin-up parable for poetic justice. One angry shot at just the wrong angle misses the target, ricochets off 3 steel beams, and returns to the shooter in less than a heartbeat.
So how do you want to start this one?
Well, I figure we need to start with some kind of a controlled situation. You know, a bench test.
Well, to my mind, that just means we set up 3 adjustable steel plates, probably in our bunker, fire a gun into them, and see if it ricochets off all 3 plates and kills its shooter.
Works for me.
All right. You ready to let all hell break loose in here?
Yep.
From bare bunker to ballistic death trap, the transformation is fast and efficient. Jamie first strips down, then mounts the weapon of choice, a .45 caliber pistol, while Adam takes charge of the Vice Squad.
Nice. That's not going anywhere.
Nor is this test, unless they get everything right in the setup. If the placement of plates and the gun isn't perfect, they'll be here all day.
3 steel plates and 3 vices and 1 .45 caliber pistol, and what we've got here is pretty much the bench test setting up the circumstances of this myth, in which this pistol will release its bullet, firing it into plate number 1, where it will reflect off, in theory at least, at a 90-degree angle into plate number 2, doing the same to plate number 3, and hopefully coming all the way back around to where it started, potentially killing its shooter. Now, to make sure that everything's set up nice and jake, I'm going to use some mirrors and a laser.
With the help of predictive technology, they're doing Pythagoras proud. The final angle won't quite make a perfect diamond, but there's method behind this deliberate misdeflection.
Yeah, it brings the path of the bullet back here so that we hopefully don't hit the gun.
Okay.
I don't want to hurt it.
Adam has no such concerns about punching a hole in his partner in crime.
I brought some motivation for our gun. I brought a shooter.
That looked badass.
Yeah. I figured we put him right here, and if there's any meat on the bones of this, he's going to end up with a bullet hole in him.
Okay.
So what we've got set up inside the bunker right now is a really idealized situation. In actuality, I'm not so sure it's going to make it perfectly all the way through. I don't know. I've seen a lot about bullets when they hit metal objects, and I'm expecting some spatter.
And they both seem to think that the spatter will matter.
Bullets aren't lasers, and in fact, the bullet we're using is going to be made out of lead. These plates are made out of steel, and if you put lead against steel, steel wins. In other words, that bullet's going to deform seriously when it hits a steel plate.
Adam puts paper to steel to help mark the points of impact. When he's done, Jamie carefully loads the weapon.
Bunker's hot.
And they're ready to shoot with intent to kill Dirty Jamie.
This is ricocheting bullet. Ideal scenario. And 3, 2, 1. I only see 1 plate with a mark on it. Second plate doesn't have anything.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
On closer inspection, that turns out to be an understatement.
I can already see what's going on here. Look at the back wall.
Yeah, all right along here. It's spread out almost 4 feet. So much for, like, ding, 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 it just went shotgun.
It looks like the lead bullet shattered, and the high-speed replay confirms their consternation.
Well, that didn't work.
And there's your problem. That bullet came in and it just kind of laid flat right along the plate.
It did. It was so beautiful. It followed the line just perfectly. The fire behind it is gorgeous, and then...
Yeah, there's got to be a bullet that holds together better than that.
Yeah, I think so.
Time to dip into Jamie's private stash.
I've seen this footage so many times. sometimes it just gets funnier.
Now, apparently they're fainting goats. I mean, this is a news story. But have you ever heard of any animal besides a human fainting?
No, and in fact, some of our fans think that this is just a hoax because this footage is so weird.
Well, you know, there's only one way to find out.
All right, let's go see for ourselves.
So Carrie and Tori hit the road to confirm or confound this possible fraud once and for all.
All right, we're at Renegade Ranch to see these fainting goats. I mean, I haven't seen one fall over yet. So I'm just kind of excited to get in there and try to freak them out and see if we can get them to fall over. I know that seems kind of cruel, but you know, science could be cruel sometimes.
I have seen this internet clip so many times because it cracks me up. Do goats actually faint?
Well, they do and they don't. They appear to faint, but they don't actually lose consciousness when they fall on the ground. It's a muscle condition called myotonia that affects their leg muscles. So when they get scared, sometimes even excited, their muscles are tightened up in their legs, and sometimes they'll actually fall over.
Yeah, but this still smells like a rural myth, meant to make us city folk look dumber than a fence post. But Tori's halfway convinced.
Apparently, shepherds breed these goats just for that gene, so that way they can put one of these goats into their flock of sheep, so when a real predator shows up, all the sheep take off and the goat is stuck there, paralyzed, so that the predator can eat it and not the sheep. Now, if that's not taking one for the team, I don't know what is. The sad thing is, it's not even his team. I mean, it's the sheep, you know?
Sounds like someone's going soft on these cute little guys. It won't last.
All right, Tori, your first step. What do you want to do?
I think for my first one, I'm just gonna see if I can get one of these goats to faint with no tricks. I mean, I haven't seen one of these fainted yet. Ooh. Oh, you...
It's a shameful start. The first one to faint is one of us. So while Tori regroups, Carrie gives it a whirl.
Okay, I figured something would be very freaky with a lot of flash would be an umbrella. So I'm gonna try to crouch down, wait till they're calm, and then pow.
That kapow sure worked on the virus video, so it should work now. But it doesn't.
They're laughing at us, Carrie. They mock us.
I don't think this is as easy as I thought it was gonna be.
Every failure to faint casts more doubt on this viral video. But Tori needs to prove that he's smarter than the livestock.
I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna lay down in that trough right there. Cover me in hay.
Christina supplies the hay as Tori's wrapped and interred inside a straw sarcophagus.
Let them come up to the hay, eat for a little bit, and then I'll spring out and see if we can get one of these guys to faint.
5 long minutes later, Carrie calls in the strike.
All right, Tori, go now.
Not one?
Not one.
You kidding me?
Dude, that would scare the heck out of me. I can't tell you how frustrating this is. I mean, they're called fainting goats. We can't make a fainting goat faint. Seriously.
But enough bleating. Let's bring out the big guns.
Oh, these techniques don't seem to be working very well. I thought these goats were supposed to faint like that.
I got an idea. This one's for the boys.
The boys don't know it, but they're about to enjoy their first, and probably last, Bucks party.
All right, Carrie, these are the male goats. What's your technique?
You ready?
Yeah.
Tori falls to friendly fire, but once again, Carrie fails to stun or stiffen the target species.
I wasn't ready for that one, Carrie.
It's especially annoying because by now they know the goat video was no fraud. Behind the scenes, they're falling like flies.
You know what's frustrating me the most? Everybody seems to be able to get these goats to fall except Carrie and me. Camera guy walks by a goat, it falls over. The runner, he's making goats fall over. The farmer walks by and they're falling over.
Well, the breed is called the Tennessee fainting goat. So Carrie and Tori give themselves one last shot at the goat version of Operation Shock and Awe.
Well, this is a first.
What's that, doing a blueprint in the dark?
Yes, but also a myth about smuggling in the dark. And we're not talking about your old-timey Barbary Coast pirates. We're talking about modern-day smuggling.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, according to the viewers, what people are doing is trying to get, let's say, maple syrup across the Canadian border to the United States. And what they'll do is they'll pick a very low-key border crossing and they'll wait till nightfall. Not just any night, very cold, dark, wintry night where it's almost pitch black. They go through the border and they do their entire journey in complete darkness. And bam, you're a smuggler.
All right, so the myth that we're testing here is, can you drive in the dark without your headlights at speeds and still not hit anything?
Sounds like fun to me.
It's a technique that's been said to be used by smugglers. Turn off the headlights, hit the gas, race past the border, and no one the wiser. But can it be done in the near pitch dark without coming a cropper?
I don't know about this one, you guys. I mean, I have my doubts. It's like, yeah, your eyes can adjust to the dark in 20 minutes, but I mean, are they gonna be able to process images just as fast and as accurately as if you had your headlights on?
Well, that's what we gotta find out, right?
Why don't we do this? We'll do our experiment at an indoor go-kart track. That way we'll have control over the light levels at all times. Then we can do one run with headlights and compare it to a run in complete darkness.
Go-karts, high speeds in the dark? Sounds like a recipe for disaster to me. Let's do it.
As always, there's work to do before the fun starts. These guys are actors, producers, and stagehands in their own drive-in movie.
The go-kart track is gonna have plenty of twists and turns in it. But since this myth takes place in Canada, we decided we need to add a little Canadian flavor. As we're smuggling maple syrup, we're definitely gonna need some maple trees. Pretty fast workers, eh?
The trees are strictly scenery, but wild animals could be a deadly hazard to anyone crazy enough to cruise the 49th parallel with the lights off, eh?
Now, if you were smuggling maple syrup across the Canadian border, one obstacle you might encounter would be a moose. Now, I've made a moose before. However, that one was made out of solid rubber. It was actually designed to withstand an impact from a real car going 60 miles an hour. Wow! Did you see how high the moose got on that hit?
For the record, that's what happens when a car plays chicken with a giant rubber moose. It's a result Tori's not anxious to replicate.
I'm going with the material that is gonna break away when we hit him with the car. So I'm gonna make the moose out of styrofoam. Hurry up, we need those done by lunch.
In fact, the team has till nightfall to ready the props for the great syrup smuggle.
A moose.
Grant's found a venue that's willing to stay up late.
So to put this myth to the test, we couldn't just go out on city streets and drive around with no headlights. That'd be way too dangerous. To test this out, we need a venue that's controlled and repeatable, where we can test things out safely, scientifically, and most importantly, sensibly.
But seriously, this is the plan. We're gonna drive this course in the dark, once with the headlights on and then with them off.
We're gonna be racing against the clock, not against each other.
And we're gonna try to go as fast as we can without crashing.
Yeah, because if you crash, that means you got caught by the cops.
And to make sure we don't remember the course, we're gonna drive the first round in one direction.
And then the second time around, we'll go completely backwards because there's no way we can remember that.
Sounds like a plan, but let's not put the cart before the moose. They still need to litter the track with some natural impediments. Hiding somewhere around a corner, our surprise moose will test the driver's reaction time.
I have to get another one. This one's not trained very well. Yeah, that's good.
And dropped randomly at the end of a straight bit, this log will test their long-range visual acuity.
It's a platform 120 feet tall just for dropping stuff. This is a motorized steel barrel just for strapping down a car and turning it upside down. I'm not sure what this one's for, but I'm pretty sure I could come up with something cool to do with it. Where am I? I'm in Arizona, in the middle of 150 acres of pure awesome. This is pretty much what I would design as my ideal playground. It's a test facility designed to break things, smash things, make them fail, and analyze the aftermath. This is one of the test facilities owned by Exponent Systems, and today they're going to help us smash some cars.
And first up to feel the crash force is this.
So this is our car.
This is our car. We're gonna smash it at 50 miles an hour into a wall.
Well, let's get started.
All right. How's all this gonna go down? This is a 1,280-foot long crash rail. It has a track embedded in it and a cable that pulls the car along that track towards the impact spot.
These two V8 engines, which have about 800 horsepower between them, pull this cable, which pulls the car up to the desired speed.
When the car gets to about here, the cable's going to release it, so it's traveling only under its own momentum, right into this big steel thing. It's at this point that we'll have a complete picture of what happens to a car when it's going 50 miles an hour and comes to a dead stop by crashing into a wall.
It's not just a picture they'll be getting. Jamie has also added some high-tech trickery to capture the force facts.
There we go. Inside the car, underneath the back seat, is mounted a block of accelerometers that measure deceleration of the impact in 3 separate axes of movement. That information is sent back to a data logger that's mounted in the back of the car. It records all that information. It's kind of like a black box.
Just like in the small-scale test, they'll gather the stats for a 50-mile-per-hour wall crash, a 100-mile-per-hour wall crash, and then finally a 50-mile-per-hour head-on collision.
This crash, it's basically a data point, one of 2 that we will obtain in order to correctly analyze our head-on collision. Careful viewers will note that in the full scale, we're following the same experimental procedure as we did with our hammers and clay. We think it has a nice symmetry. Shall we log the pre-crash length?
Sure.
15 feet.
All right, then.
All right, the cable's ready. Come on in.
With the length logged and the black box engaged, the car is ready to meet its fate, slamming into a solid steel wall at 50 miles per hour.
All right, this is one car into one wall at 50 miles an hour. Take it away.
Okay, Bob, we're ready for rollout.
The V8 engines roar as they spin the cable. And the car gains speed till it's holding at precisely 50 miles per hour. And then plows headlong into a wall of steel.
Oops.
I hope they're insured.
Yep, it's a car crash, I think.
Yeah, I'd say what happened here is this car here hit this wall. There.
It's a spectacular smash. The force of the impact crunched the front of the car like a car hitting a steel wall at 50 miles per hour, leaving it 3.5 feet shorter.
11 feet 7 inches.
But of course, that's not the only impact stat.
What say we find out what the G load was?
These guys are downloading the data about the crash right now. Okay, here's the stats on that crash. This car hit that wall at 50.7 miles per hour and took an average of 58 Gs in the longitudinal direction. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that when we smash a car into this wall at 100 miles an hour, the G load is going to be significantly higher.
Adam and Jamie have been testing whether you can shoot the gun out of your opponent's hand, leaving them unarmed and unharmed. The unharmed department is not looking so good.
That is some nasty damage.
And although the bad guys dropped their gun in 2 out of the 3 positions, Adam is not convinced unarmed is working out either.
The gun didn't fall out.
He thinks there's a missing human link. But with shooting at each other out of the question, how do they test this safely?
We're only testing one metric of the gun holder, which is his grip strength holding onto the gun. And I think there may be other factors involved. Specifically, I want to know what it's like for that shooter when that shock force is applied to the gun. So, coming up, one subjective shock force test.
And this is Adam's plan. In this test, he's pulling some strings to narrow down the element of surprise. He'll give Jamie an unexpected short, sharp jolt, simulating the shock of having your handgun shot out of your hand.
Just don't look that way.
I'll look this way.
There you go. I'm hoping this simulates to some degree what it's like to hold onto a gun that's been shot. Jamie, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Jamie, hold the gun in the correct orientation. That's great. Now, I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to drop it. It got knocked out of your hand.
It did.
How did that feel?
Well, when you're not expecting it, it's like pretty aggressive.
So the surprise of our little string pull experiment made you drop the gun, eh?
It did, but you know, I somehow imagined that a real bullet hitting the gun would have more sting to it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I think I've got a rig in my head that might be able to add that to the mix.
Okay, then.
So what is it like when one of these gets shot out of your hand? I think that it would sting like hell. I think it'd be like hitting something hard with a baseball bat. So what I'm gonna do is take this pistol, use it as a template to take an aluminum plate, put some gun handles on it, and a big paddle out here. See where I'm going with this? And then I'm gonna have Jamie hit that paddle with something like a baseball bat and see how hard it is to hold on. I think I might wanna let go immediately. We're getting close. You don't know this about me, but I have a particular penchant for objects that were clearly made for a very specific function, and yet what that function might be has been lost to time. And this definitely falls into that category. Ta-da! I'm very pleased. I can state without reservation, this is my favorite thing I've ever built for this show. Yeah. If you will hold that.
And with a little help from Slugger Heineman, Adam is going to put his new favorite toy to the test.
I'm just trying to think, how much damage could I sustain from this? It's just gonna sting. Okay. My eyes are closed. Ah! Wow! Ow! Yeah. No, there's no way you'd be holding on to that thing. God, that hurt.
And here's how much it hurt in glorious, technicolored, 1,000 frames a second slow motion.
Ow, that looks painful.
Yeah, it definitely was a stinging, ringing sensation. Wow! Ow!
The shock and the pain in Adam's face was really evident, and may I say also really satisfying. But how does that relate to a bullet hitting a gun in terms of energy transfer? Well, on the one hand, we have a bat, 800 grams. It was traveling 85 miles per hour, and that gives us a potential energy of 428 foot-pounds force. On the other hand, we have a bullet, 15 grams, traveling 613 miles per hour, and the potential energy there is 416 foot-pounds force. Those numbers are basically the same, and yet somehow I'm not going to be satisfied unless I get something really close to an actual bullet hitting an actual gun and one of us holding on to it. Where do you want to start?
Well, as much as I'd love to just build a big old slide and slide down it, something tells me that that might be dangerous.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we should start here in the shop, do a kind of proof of concept.
To see whether we think we can get that kind of distance and precision.
Exactly. Let's start with a small slide, a small slider, run it through some paces and see what we get.
Without putting our bodies on the line.
Yet.
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope to the truth, so they're starting with a proof of concept, and here's what they're looking for.
Doing a scale water slide experiment is a bit of a problem because gravity doesn't scale. But it's no big deal because I only need our little dummy to land in about the same spot over and over again, because if he doesn't, he's toast. Secondly, based on our video, to scale, I need him to travel about 16 feet.
16 feet is the approximate X marks the spot for the kiddie pool.
Mind if I take a quick look how he slides?
Not at all. Knock yourself out. If we get those things, then this might actually be doable. Not that bad.
But not close to leaping off of that and going 15 times his own height.
No water.
Yep, this is about to get a lot more slippery when wet. The blue-colored water helps the guys ensure that the whole slide is lubricated. And then Stunt Adam takes his first slip.
Slip and slide, scale test. 3, 2, 1.
Oh!
That's awesome. He left a little blue stain, nicely marking where he landed.
9 feet 8 inches.
9 feet is hardly the 16 feet Jamie was looking for, but the guys have a slippery trick to try.
You want to try it again, but throw a little dish soap in that water?
Sounds like a good idea. I'll be right back.
Using soapy water to further lubricate the slide will reduce the friction on the stuntman,
Oh, yeah.
helping him to accelerate and hopefully fly further.
Here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Boom!
Sure enough, the soap surfactants made Mini Atom go the distance. But what about accuracy?
Here we go. Looking for the same spot. When I look at this rig, I think he's not going to hit the same target every time. But that's not going to stop us from trying. Is it, little dude? Oh, I'd rather be done. No, you got a few more slides. Okay, here we go. I'm not getting tired of that.
It's not tiresome, but neither is it accurate. So Jamie's got a plan.
I'm wondering about fixing him so he's in this position.
Yeah.
Binding the arms and legs should streamline Mini Atom and help him to land in the same place twice. But before he flies, the slide needs another spritz of soapy water.
I figure we should use something like this for the full-size ramp, you know, but larger, like one of those handheld weed sprayers.
I can't see it putting out anywhere near enough liquid.
I think it will.
If you want to bring it, that's fine, but I swear, if we end up using it to cover the ramp, I'll pay you $100.
All right, then.
The gentleman's wager stands.
3.
So the tiny slider is tossed down the slide
Zupa!
again and again.
Woohoo! Boom!
That actually was pretty close to the last one.
It was.
And he even landed feet first again.
Both times?
Yep.
Nice.
And soon enough, a pattern starts to emerge. The more they send streamlined Atom down the slide,
Getting pretty much in the same area.
Go ahead and mark it again. I'm getting kind of excited.
the more predictable his landings become.
You know, Jamie, after all the weird crap we've rigged for commercials, I totally did not expect it to get so consistent.
Yep, I got 3 in a row here within an inch of each other.
Nice.
Let's look at how our criteria stacks up. The first thing is that we need our little dummy to land in exactly the same spot, and all these landings are within a few inches. That works. Secondly, to match the video, we need him to come to about 16 feet. And we got landings between 13 and 19 feet, so this might actually work.